That is the Johannesburg Pavilion, which is a series of film screenings and live performances that will take place from the 6th to the 14th of May 2015. Now, some of the artists include Athi, Patra, Ruga, Donna, Kukama and Nicolas, Boone. To tell us more about the Johannesburg Pavilion, we are joined by 133 Arts Foundation Director Roelof van Wyk and performance artist Senzeni Marasela. Guys, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us here in Morning Live. Let's start with you, Roelof. Just give us a sense of this project going to the 56th Venice Biennale, and maybe a little bit talk about the pressure to put on a brilliant showcase.
Well, firstly, I think it's important to understand that the Venice Biennale, it happens every second year, and it's the world's most prestigious and largest international art show. Every year there are national pavilions, so countries exhibit, and then they have a large international show. And this year is the first year that is presented and directed by an African director in its life.
Wow.
So for us, that's big news. Now, what's really important is that that same director also directed the last Johannesburg Biennale. So as a...
It's a continuation.
It's a continuation. So as a nod of respect to him, we then decided that if we have something to say, which we do, we want to do it there. So this year is the African Biennale, and if there's one place in the world where a group of young African artists from Johannesburg want to make some noise, it's going to be there.
Let's quickly talk about that, because if it's an African voice overseas, what is the story we want to tell? What do we want to tell the rest of the world?
We want each of the artists to tell their own story. Each of these artists, you know, they make lives in Johannesburg, and the story about struggling artists is one that we definitely deny, and that we believe we have the power and the control to undo. So, in that process, we decided that going to Venice as a group of artists, we will demonstrate that. We will demonstrate that we have the power, and we will find new ways of showing the work that these artists do.
Let's talk about some of those artists.
Across the board, they are performance and filmmakers. They are all at the start of their career. Most of them are unrepresented by galleries. They help themselves and work for themselves. They do work that is unique. It is different. It pushes boundaries. They do work about the African body, the female body, about living in a city like Johannesburg. They deal, of course, with the issues of apartheid, but they do it in a new, very empowered way. Some of the filmmakers are first-time filmmakers, where they, with the help of a group of friends, some actor friends, some musician friends, just make a film with their own resources. The performance artists, the likes of Senzeni here, who can speak on her own behalf, is doing a performance project that lasts 6 years.
Wow.
So, you know...
So then let's bring you to that conversation. I mean, you're doing a piece that's you've done over 6 years.
No, I've started 1 October 2013, you know, where I found the stress downtown in Joburg, and I decided to put it on. But it really starts with this book, Njabulani Ndebele's book, The Cry of Winnie Mandela, because it looks at women who wait and the conditions in which they wait. And because these women are so traumatized, they begin to have an imaginary conversation with Winnie Mandela about waiting, because we know that she waited very publicly for 27 years. So then I'm the 5th woman in the book. You know, I've created this persona of a woman that waits. So then I made a conscious decision to have multiples of these dresses made. You know, so I more or less look similar every day. I don't want to say I look identical, you know, because I go to work in a dress, I attend weddings. I've even gone to clubs with friends on it, you know, because I need to use my own body as a canvas, you know, to tell the story. You know, and I have gone through quite a lot of things, you know, to face a lot of scorn and ridicule, whether it's been vocal or sometimes it's been the body language. You know, but I insist that I need to spread my story out, you know, and tell, because my alter ego is Theodora, you know, that every day to give myself a chance to record the story and tell it. So in Venice, I'm going to be performing Theodora in the streets of Venice, but then I'm going to be speaking in Xhosa.
Okay.
You know, while I do these performances, and then try and play with people that I find on the streets and write and do documentation. You know, because I do document every day what I go through and what happens.
That is interesting. When somebody like Roelof approaches you, and I mean, now maybe you need to put on your broader hat very, very quickly.
Yes.
Do you feel the pressure, because you're now, as we're saying, that it's a lot of the artists is not publicly known yet, and yet you're going into a space where you're now going to bring all of that. Is there a little bit of pressure on your shoulders?
No, not really, because I have done a lot of performances overseas. You know, in Central Park, in New York. You know, there's performance that I did in 2009 when I was carrying black dolls and talking to people. So it's really something that I'm accustomed to. It's just that now it's a different venue where I'm going to be performing my alter ego Theodora, whom I'm extremely passionate about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guys, unfortunately, we ran out of time. We can talk about this. This is incredibly fascinating. We have to bring you back when you come back from Venice. That was 133 Arts Foundation Director Roelof van Wyk speaking to us about the Johannesburg Pavilion, which is a program of contemporary African film and live performances that will travel to Venice during the first 2 weeks of the 56th Venice Biennale. He was also joined by a performance artist, Senzeni Marasela, who will be traveling along with that group and representing South Africa and Africa and flying that flag very high. We take an ad break. You don't go.